waited as the boils of dust caught up and billowed around the cars. Dumb move. Ethan nodded. I was thinking the same thing. I'd have parked sideways to those guys for more cover, and to get away if things go bad. Bad guys aren't usually the sharpest crayons in the box. The worst of the dust was gone when the doors on the new arrivals flew open. The men waiting with their backs to us tensed as armed gangsters poured out with a variety of military-style weapons in their hands. I watched the men face off. I still think they should be using the SUVs for cover. Amateurs. Ethan cut his eyes at me from under the brim of his hat. I wish I had the SUV concession for all this. Somebody's making money somewhere. Which one's Gabe? I pointed at one of the men facing in our general direction. All but Gabe wore white t-shirts under unbuttoned plaid shirts. That's him in the priest collar, who just got out of the expedition, beside Tortuga. What's with that? I shrugged. He's getting paid. Which one's Tortuga? The only guy who doesn't have a gun in his hand. He looks like somebody's grandpa. Hollywood's version of a Mexican bad guy, the squatty man with thick rolled shoulders wore a gray mustache, a loose-fitting off-white Frontera Guayabera shirt, and baggy khakis. Beside him was Gabe Nakai, my dad's ranch manager and a close friend. The hair rose on the back of my neck, watching an old buddy in the company of armed gangsters from Ojinaga across the Rio Grande. Ethan must have sensed how I felt. It ain't right, seeing him down there, is it? That and the priest collar around his neck. I'm still working on that one, too. He tilted his head like a dog, as if looking at the scene from a different angle would help evaluate the situation. That's something else that doesn't make sense in all this. Ours is not to reason why. Even I was surprised at my quote. Tennyson. You did listen in Miss Adams' English class. No, I'll just memorize those lines for a test, and for some reason they stuck with me. El Norte still had his back to us, but his voice came loud and clear, a trick of the acoustics from the horseshoe bowl of rocks surrounding our position. His hair was so black and slicked back that it looked to be oiled. The side of his whisker-stubbled face looked to be chiseled granite. Tortuga! Did you bring my money? The Mexican national standing beside Gabe spread his hands. My coke? El Norte flicked a command with his fingers. A gangster holding an AK-47 reached inside the open door of his SUV and withdrew a leather briefcase. He flipped the latches and dumped a pile of taped packets onto the hood. The cartel leader waved his hand toward the drugs. As promised? Who uses brand new English leather briefcases these days? It's backpacks, mostly, from what I've seen. Ethan sighed. This is making my head hurt. I pointed at the dust clouds roaring down the dirt track, directly toward the scenario unfolding at an achingly slow pace. Who are those guys? I've been watching them coming for a good long while. Don't know. I've been wondering the same thing, but they're about to make somebody down there pretty mad. Tortuga snapped his fingers, and one of his men appeared with still another briefcase. Holding it awkwardly in one hand, he clicked the latches and it opened, revealing the interior packed with $100 bills. They must have gotten a deal on briefcases at Costco. Ethan cut his eyes to see if I'd take the bait and continue our evaluation, but I concentrated on their conversation to hear what the gangsters were saying. Bueno, El Norte waved. Make the deal. Trouble started when the gangster tried to close the briefcase. Losing his grip, it flipped out of his hand, dumping the contents onto the ground. White paper, cut to the size of U.S. currency, exploded in a cloud, fluttering like snow and revealing that the authentic bills were only a thin layer on top. El Norte shouted and retreated for cover behind an open car door. Matalos! Kill them! The clear crack of a single gunshot opened the ball. To a man, the cartel soldiers on both sides raised their weapons, and the world filled with automatic gunfire. I found myself looking down the muzzle of a rifle pointed at one of the gangsters standing in front of me. My skin crawled at the flashes. The three vehicles